Welcome back to Living Local. This week we bring you something different, something creepy. This is Creepy Quad Cities. Sylvan Island has a storied history of paranormal activity, strange myths. The list goes on and on. But it's the spider monkey Spector of Sylvan Island that we examine today. And joining us again in this segment is Michael McCarty, the author of Eerie Quad Cities. Thank you for being here. We really appreciate it. So let's talk about Sylvan Island. It has a dense history, so let's talk a little bit about its origins.
Sure. The Sylvan Island is a terrific place, to bring the family. It's on one side of it on the other side of the river is the Arsenal Island. On the other side is Moline. It's a great place that you could, do a picnic or go for a stroll, as long as it's during the daylight.
Yes, it has a darker history. So let's talk about it. It's been largely abandoned since the 1950s, right?
Yeah, there was the Republic steel mill here. This is the remains of it. It went from like 1890s to 1950s.
Wow. And so there's been a lot of paranormal activity here on the island, and it's been the subject of many investigations, right?
Yeah, there's this, a lot of the Quad City paranormal groups have done investigations.
But we're here today to talk about the spider monkey Spector of Sylvan Island. What can you tell us about that?
Well, it was reported by the Rock Island Paranormal, also known as RIP. They did some investigations here, and what they would see is this apparition of a spider monkey. And they would hear the tree shaking, and it would be tree to tree, it would be shaking, and they put all the lights on it, and there was nothing there. And they'd go over here, and the trees would all be shaking again. They put lights on it, and nothing's there. So they ruled it out. It couldn't be a squirrel or anything like that because all the lights would see it in it.
Yeah. So this story is in your book, and how can viewers get it and scare themselves late at night?
Barnes & Noble at North Park Mall, they have copies of it. Go in the local section, there, you should be able to find it. And of course, you could order on Amazon as well.
Did you hear that, Michael? Could be the spider monkey Spector of Sylvan Island. Hey, thanks so much for joining us today in this segment. We really do appreciate it. Do mythical creatures still roam this secluded forest area? Does the Sylvan Island spider monkey Spector exist? Who's to say? Creepy, right? Thank you for joining us. Next week, we will head across the river to see if we can uncover the Banshee of Brady Street. Get creepy with us at ourquadcities.com. More Living Local continues after the break. Stay with us, if you dare. Welcome back to Living Local. This week we bring you something different, something creepy. This is Creepy Quad Cities. Brady Street, a bustling roadway that runs the length of the city of Davenport. By day, it looks like this, but by night, it paints a very different picture. And joining us today, once again, is Michael McCarty, the author of Eerie Quad Cities. How are you, sir?
I'm doing fine.
Hey, thanks for joining us out here at Vanderveer Park, which is right off of Brady Street. Now, Brady Street has a lot of folklore, but let's talk about the Banshee of Brady Street.
So for those who are unfamiliar with the Banshee, it's an Irish folklore. And according to legend, if you hear the cry or the scream of the Banshee, you will have impending doom.
So the most famous story comes, and this when it began too, in 1918. So tell us what happened then.
Unfortunately, a family heard such a scream in the middle of the night, and the family had the impending doom. They were called being cursed, and one by one, each member of the family met their demise.
And what happened to their house?
Eventually, because of the tragedy of the family, it was sold really cheap. A Chicago mobster bought the house, turned it into a brothel, then eventually the house was torn down.
Wow. And this story is in your book, of course.
This is an Eerie Quad Cities.
And how can our viewers get this book and scare themselves this holiday season?
Well, of course, you could order online, but if you want to support locally, it's available at Barnes & Noble, the Artsy Bookworm, and Obsidian and Sage, and Spellbound.
Well, thank you, Michael, for joining us. Will you venture out by yourself after midnight on this seemingly harmless roadway? If you do, be prepared to hear the wails of the Banshee in the distance, and hope it's not for you. Thank you for joining us. Next week we will uncover the Quad City's very own large serpent-like creature, Pepe. Get creepy with us at ourquadcities.com. More Living Local continues after the break. Stay with us, if you dare.